Full disclosure, while the audio for this review may be more fitting for 2016 Suicide Squad and not this latest far superior The Suicide Squad, travel schedules and other projects have caused me to record this review in a hotel room with a view of the freeway. Admittedly, this is probably a disservice to the Suicide Squad, but I truthfully enjoyed myself so much I absolutely had to create the review as soon as possible. And make no mistake, the Suicide Squad is delightful, quite possibly the most fun I've had at the movies this year. And while you may be inclined to point out that movie theaters have only been open for a little over 2 months, I've seen at least 7 films in the theater, and the Suicide Squad ranks among one of the better experiences out of all of them. It's not the best film I've seen, but I left beaming with gleeful joy like I felt something I haven't felt since Gunn's The Suicide Squad is a bordello of beautiful blood and banter, blending the bouncing wit and punching jokes with a bountiful body count, delivering a true summer blockbuster that is balanced yet bursting at the seams. Alliteration aside, The Suicide Squad is Gunn unchained, yet surprisingly restrained, easily surpassing the previous attempt. This unheard of movie mulligan is leaps and bounds more fun and interesting than Ayer's 2016 version. And while he can rant and rave all he wants about how his film would have been better if it wasn't for those pesky studio meddlings, the truth is that no matter what version Ayer delivered, he simply doesn't understand or relate to the source material the way that Gunn has proven he can and absolutely does. This film is light years beyond whatever they tried to do a mere 5 years ago, and proves that in the right hand like Gunn's, Suicide Squad can be great. The film is a beautiful apology for all past transgressions, delivering big laughs and heavy gore, fully embracing the absurdity with skillful abandon. Gunn approaches this version with a purposeful, no-holds-barred narrative, choosing to take what little there was to salvage from the previous film, namely Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, Boomerang, and of course Amanda Waller, and pretty much abandons everything else. This allows Gunn to deliver a lean, mean fighting machine of a film, trimming the fat and eliminating the need for exposition and lengthy character backstories. This actually helps the film whisk by at a rapid pace, packed with jokes and kills, and yes, somehow even heart. See, by eliminating the weighty dramedy and the desperate need to tie it into everything else in the DCEU, we allow the characters to breathe and come into their own, making them relatable and rootable. I don't think that's a word, but I'm making it one to say that Gunn makes you care about the characters without needing to spell it out with lines like,
"What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?"
Or,
"We're bad guys, it's what we do."
Also, Gunn is unafraid to make his entire roster expendable, keeping in line with the Suicide Squad source material. Everyone can get it at any moment, like a superhero Game of Thrones, and he never abuses this power, making every single death surprising, emotional, and downright funny and played for laughs. This actually makes the stakes higher because the characters matter, and we don't need a world-ending event to make that happen either. The premise and mission are contained and singular, existing only within the scope of their made-up South American island, Corto Maltese. This is yet another smart departure from its predecessor. The built-in banter over rising body counts and the conscious choice to go with a more contained catastrophe rather than some enchanted world-ending event helps raise the stakes for everyone and everything. You don't call the Suicide Squad for world-saving missions. You call them to do your dirty work. They're a black ops, shady government expendable secret, not the Avengers. And this simple departure allows the film to get weirder and weirder without ever feeling like it's out of line or out of touch with its source material. And yes, the Suicide Squad is unequivocally absurd.
This is absurd.
It never gets into absurd for absurdity's sake, but it builds its strangeness by scraping the bottom of the barrel of anti-heroes that crescendos into an all-out kaiju third act and somehow doesn't feel out of place in the slightest. We're literally following characters called Polka Dot Man, Peacekeeper, King Shark, and Ratcatcher 2, a nappy young girl who can, you guessed it, control rats. On paper, none of this should translate on screen, but Gunn gets it better than most and dives into the strangest aspects like a kid in a candy store. He's having a goddamn blast here, which allows everyone else to have a blast, and it all comes together so well that we all have a blast watching it. Okay, speed round highlights. I never knew I needed a half man, half shark with a childlike wonder and a nom-nom hunger for humans voiced by Sylvester Stallone, but now it's all I need, and he's basically the new Groot. All hail King Shark! Watching Alba's Bloodsport and Cena's Peacekeeper have a kill-off is one of the funniest scenes in the movie, and I could watch it all day. Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher 2 is the heart and soul of the movie, and along with the charming as ever Idris Elba, brings the needed humanity to a very strange collection of characters. The film is beautiful to look at with the dazzling special effects and cinematography that simply shouldn't be as good as it is. Lastly, Margot Robbie delivers the best iteration of Harley Quinn to date, and that's speaking to someone who loves her solo outing. If there are any criticisms, the film does have some slight tonal imbalances and struggles to find its footing early on. It's still funny, but it doesn't all quite come together as cleanly as it does by the time we get to the third act. There are some jokes that don't land as hard as they should, there are a few subplots that feel a little forced and out of place, and like countless movies before it recently, it may be a tad too long. You don't feel it like I have with many other films this year, but it could do well with being 20 minutes shorter. And a warning to those who need it, the film relishes in its gruesome and bloody action, with the kills and deaths and body parts being highlighted, glossed and vibrant like it was ripped straight from the pages of a graphic novel, and both the violence and humor is unapologetically crass. Like I said, Gunn is a bull in a china shop here, destroying any and all superhero norms without being pretentious, but certainly pushing the limits of hard R. If you're expecting anything less than this and don't find yourself gleefully cheering as King Shark rips a man in half in slow motion, The Suicide Squad is not made for you. If all of that sounds like something you're into, though, then The Suicide Squad delivers on just about every single thing you'd expect from it. There is so much to like about this film, and it is easily one of the most surprisingly enjoyable movie-going experiences I've had in a long time. I won't get ahead of myself and say that this is the future of Warner Brothers and DC. Frankly, I don't trust either one as far as I can throw them. But if this is what we can come to expect from Gunn, then sign me up for more The Suicide Squad. In Gunn we trust.
Ratatouille, what do you got?
Bird.
Now it. Stay off the comm.